Right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined here today by Kevin Two Guns Lerena, and you're the ambassador for Aquilla Boxing Promotions and Fistic Havoc, June 21st. How excited are you, firstly, about this tournament, Kev?
No, very excited. Obviously, it's our second tournament since inception, so it's nice to get the ball rolling again, to give another 16 fighters and their teams, trainers and managers an opportunity. So I'm very excited, just, setting out to do what we said we would.
Of course, second tournament, first one went really well. Success, a sold-out show, and I'm sure this one will be just the same. You put up a post the other day saying that there's only general seating left. How difficult or how hard, how easy has it been to sell tickets for these shows?
I think there's an appetite for boxing within the country. People want to come to good tournaments, good shows where they're looked after, and I think at Aquilla Boxing Promotions, the way we're doing it, we're providing just that. Obviously, ticket prices, we had them set at 2,500 for VVIP, 2,000 for VIP, and 500 Rand for general admission. Our VVIP and VIP are completely gone. So it's just about getting rid of the last. I think we have 105 general admission tickets left.
Sure.
I think, and I last spoke to one of our admin ladies, and she said there's 45 that have confirmed the tickets, just awaiting payment. So yeah, it's going good. I mean, I'm not in this sport to only try sell out arenas. I can only promote so much. It's up to the fighters and the individuals fighting on the show to sell tickets, because the people are coming to watch them. But having said that, the people and my network are coming to support me too. So I'm just grateful and just happy to provide another opportunity for another 16 fighters to get on, firstly, Supersport TV, which is a phenomenal platform to be on. So hopefully they realize how privileged and how lucky they are to be on that platform.
Yeah, it has been a continuation, and again at the Gallery and Sanson, prestigious venue as well. I just wanted to, before I go to the show Fistic Havoc, just a note on your personal achievements as well. The WBC Bridgerweight World Champion, and obviously defending the belt here on home soil. How did that feel?
No, it was great. A legacy boxing promotion show, put on by Shan and Devot Mostad. So it was great for me to get the opportunity, because I hadn't fought at home, and I think since 2023 November. And to fight in front of a crowd like that at a pretty much sold-out arena, it shows that boxing is alive and we're doing something good for the sport. So thanks to Legacy Promotions for the platform they provided. It was my duty to show up as a fighter. It was my duty to sell and to entertain the fans. And I did what I had to do with the person that they put in front of me. So I couldn't have asked for a better victory, and it's opened up some massive doors for us. So I'm very grateful for Devalt and Shan for providing me and my team with that opportunity. And that's just another example of collaboration, because we got Kevin, who's the face of Aquilla Boxing Promotions. You got Kevin Lerena, the fighter, the WBC World Champion. Aquilla Boxing Promotions is backed by World Sports Betting, Tigris Wealth, JCP Steel, HP. And this was a fine example of amalgamating and allowing collaboration to happen for the better of the sport. So yeah, I'm happy, and that's done though. 1st of May is complete, mission accomplished, but we're on to a new checkpoint now, and all focus is on the 21st of June for Aquilla Boxing Promotions. And I've obviously got a focus that a business that I need to take care of. We can't announce anything yet, but it's pretty much a done deal. And yeah, we're hard in training. So boxing is alive, boxing is doing me good, and I'm just happy to be in this position.
I look forward to that next interview as well, where we discuss your personal career as well. But next big move. Let's move over to Fistic Havoc, and we'll go through the bull, and you can basically let us know exactly who you think and what do you think about each fight. So we'll start right at the bottom. Rene Shimanga, he'll be coming up against Amedu Ikala. Heavyweight contest. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, 2 heavyweights. We're hoping we could put them on so they can bang. Heavyweights are known to be big hitters, so hopefully we're not there for the full 4 rounds. we're there to put on entertaining fights. And Rene Shimanga assisted me with sparring for my world title fight. So I'm giving him a gap and an opportunity. And obviously Ikala, his opponent, I think he's had 3 fights or 2 fights, and he's coming up from cruiserweight, if I'm not mistaken. 2 guys from the DRC. The DRC boys are very strong. So I think it's going to be a good matchup in the sense of 2 strong guys going head to head. I don't know who's going to win it. I must be honest, I don't know much about Ikala. I've sparred Rene Shimanga, but they're both relative novices, so let's see how they feature.
Let's see how they feature. And there's the second bout, you know a lot about. I wasn't too clued up on the 2 boxes, but maybe you can tell us a little bit more about Sabello versus Shan.
It's a very interesting matchup. Sabello is a a young fighter who fights here at Pound for Pound Gym in Four Ways. And Shan is a former national amateur champion. He's a very decorated amateur fighter, as well as Sabello, if I'm not mistaken. I think he won the Western Cape Championship. So they're both coming with some sort of amateur pedigree. And this is a prime example of us at Aquilla Boxing Promotions trying to promote at grassroots level, because essentially they're professionals, but they work behind the ears. It's grassroots level fighting. And in hindsight, both guys probably don't need to fight each other this early on, but we're all about putting on good matchups. And there is going to be a winner, unless it's a draw. But that winner who goes on, let's see how far he can go. And it doesn't necessarily mean the loser's not going anywhere. It's a very good matchup, and I'm actually excited for it.
I wanted to quickly interject there, but if you perform well in Aquilla Boxing Promotions, are you inclined to keep the ball rolling with said athletes? Doesn't matter where they come from.
Look, we try to diversify and open our platform up to everybody. Having said that, if guys do well on our show and we see potential in them, we're obviously going to try our best to back them. You know, there's obviously set promoters within the country who have their stables and who have their affiliates as per se, or their feeder gyms or whatever it is. We don't really have that. I've opened up our platform to pretty much anybody. Having said that, if a fighter does well on our platform, we'd love to put him on again. And I think it only makes common sense for any fighter in their team, if they want their fighters to do well, want to gain sponsorships and want to be heard. Aquilla Boxing Promotions is one of the promoters and the platforms within the country that have super sport, that have a nice platform to showcase young talent as well as mature older talent. So it's up to the fighters and their team whether they want to fight on our shows or not. Like I said, we don't sign fighters, we don't sign promotional contracts with fighters. We just merely don't have enough shows to do that. It's doing fighters an injustice if people do that. So they must go fight wherever they want, but they know where they're going to get their maximum content, drive and viewership.
All right, and I'm glad to hear that. So it inspires fighters as well to put on a better performance as well, just to keep you and the promotion happy. The power of social media is the third fight, I call it, because it's Luke Hendricks and Nuane. We did an interview with Sabello. He wanted both Tettoinka and Luke Hendricks, but you know, he is a featherweight and Luke Hendricks is a featherweight, and you made that fight happen.
The featherweight division is steaming at the moment, especially obviously you got Sean's fighter, Lindo Kuzayo, you got Tettoinka, you got Luke Hendricks. Sabello is obviously pretty much unknown, if I'm not mistaken. He's had one fight, but he was on SA Boxing Talk, and if I'm not mistaken, he did call out Luke Hendricks as well as Tettoinka. So I think it's fitting that we put the fight on. You know, I wouldn't say it's a grudge match as per se. You know, they both, I must be honest with you, haven't achieved much in boxing for it to be a grudge match or a very notable match, but let them fight each other. Luke Hendricks is 3-0. He's looking for a step up. You know, this is an important fight for him. His last fight was a very close fight. I think he could have just edged it, but it also could have been a draw. You know, I think Pritchard Dube put up a good performance, and I think we saw that if Luke engages in the fight and gets going, he can do some good things. But obviously he's got his own style, and showboating and getting the crowd going in his mind that's what he does. But as soon as the level goes up, you can't really do that. So this is a good test for him. He's fighting an undefeated guy, and should he come through that, let's see where he goes next. He said he mentioned in one of his interviews he wants to fight all over, so let him go fight wherever he wants, you know, to build his record up, and we are all for that. You know, if a fighter can fight on a Legacy show, if they can fight on a Boxing 5 show, if they can fight on that Cape Town show, let them go. You know, because fighters need to build their record, and it gives us a better product to sell at the end of the day. You know, if you're narrow-minded, you don't see it like that. But that's how I see it. Let the guys go, because it becomes full circle. When they return to you, they become a better product.
100%. And the boxer Luke Hendricks is his fourth fight, and Tettoinka with his second fight. It's going to be an interesting matchup. Let's see how it goes. You know,
very interesting matchup. I think a very evenly matched one, in the sense of the records are similar. I'll be honest and transparent. I haven't seen Tettoinka fight, but I've seen Luke Hendricks fight. He's very strong. Looks like an explosive guy. He's got charisma, so it makes for a good matchup.
Can't wait for this one. And then the fourth bout of the evening from Sean Smith's gym, Tettoinka. He's coming up against Botswana's Tefo. What do you think about this one?
There was a change in opponent. He was meant to fight an undefeated guy from Botswana who had to pull out due to personal reasons. He was 5-0, and obviously Tettoinka is undefeated. He's a hot prospect. You know, I'm not going to mince my words. I've I've spoken to him, I've seen him at the gym, but this past week I've seen him spar, and the week before prior I watched him spar one of our world champions, and he's giving him really good work. So he's probably one of the best prospects we've got within our country, and we're absolutely honoured to have him on our show. You know, when Shan reached out and said, can you put Tettoinka and Lindo on, it's only a pleasure for me because I know how good they are and how good they can be. Obviously it's very early to tell, you know, as the level of opponent rises you'll truly see how good a guy is, but he's doing everything right at the moment, and I think he's a hot prospect. He takes on Leche, who's had 8 wins and 3 losses, if I'm not mistaken, or 8 fights, 5 wins, 3 losses, something like that. It's a late change in opponent. The opponent was changed a week and a half ago due to the fact that the previous opponent had to pull out due to personal reasons, but bring him in. He wants to fight Tettoinka. Obviously, Tettoinka's a different kind of animal or beast in there. I know how good he is from what I've seen and from what Shan's told me. And I think they've got really bright futures, both him and Lindo. To be honest, I know we're going to be talking about Tettoinka now, but I think they've got bright futures. And if we can add to them having fights and helping them build their career, it's an honor for us. And whether they go on to make it on the big stages, on the biggest stages in the world, if we've played a very small part in that, well, that's what it's all about, developing and nurturing young talent.
I like the injection in the sports. And talking about injection in the sports, Leo Carreri, quick turnaround for him as well. He also fought on your undercard in the last fight. Now he appears on the Aquilla boxing promotion show. Of course, as per the time of the interview, his opponent pulled out and you are seeking a new opponent, but that'll be announced in due course. Leo Carreri, let's talk about him. He calls you his mentor. Or what do you make of him?
Yeah, I think it's no secret he backs himself, and you know, he made, I would say, light work or easy work of his previous opponent who was meant to be a tough challenge for him. Having said that, you know, you got to go, there's baby steps. Before you crawl, you need to sit as a baby. Before you sit, you need to be born. He's been born, he must sit, he must crawl, he must walk, and then he must run. There's no fast track in boxing. You know, I've seen the biggest prospects and the biggest talents get turned inside out because it was rushed. I've seen it a lot in rugby, and I've seen it now and then in boxing. So you got to kind of manage him right. You know, he's obviously managed by his shams managing him and looking out for him, and he's got another trainer called Kobe, if I'm not mistaken, Kobe, and they're passionate and they're a young team. So he's got another opportunity. You know, he fought on my undercard, and I'm very grateful because Shan and Dewald allowed that to happen. I said to him, listen, this guy, you know, he wants me to kind of mentor him, take him under my wing, please put him on the card, and they made it happen. And now we've obviously provided him with an opportunity to fight again. So nothing in life comes easy. You got to earn it, and his job is to go out there and win. You know, we're looking for another opponent for him because his opponent unfortunately apparently got injured last week, so he's had to pull out of the contest. But we're trying our best to secure an opponent for the 21st of June for Leo. And like I said, baby steps. You know, I've seen many guys in the gym who look fabulous. I've watched Floyd Mayweather train. I've been to Floyd Mayweather's gym. I've been in the gym with superstars, so no one really gives me goosebumps, to be honest. So we need to see how far and how somebody can progress as the level rises. For now, what he needs to do, he needs to win. That's the most important thing. That's all I can tell him is just keep winning. The opportunity will come when you want to fight for the SA titles and the Africa belts. They'll come in due course. You know, you're 18, you're aspiring, you got a future ahead of you, but take it in the right stride and do it the right way. You know what I mean? So I think he's got a nice future, a very nice future. But I don't get hard up for what I see in sparring or what I hear. We'll see it on the night when the opportunity arises. And I think that's the most important thing, is staying grounded in that sense. Because boxing is a very tough sport, very hard sport. So as good as you are, as good as you can be, you're always one punch away from a horrible loss. And you always need to realize that in the sport. So if he stays grounded, hungry, and keeps working hard, because I've heard that he works really hard. I've spoken to Shannon and Boyd there at the Apex gym, as well as his training Sham. They say he's true to the ground, which is always a great positive when you're starting your career. So yeah, I think he's got a very nice future, but let's see where it goes. You know, we're going to try match him up. I'm not sure when he'll fight again. He's fighting in June. I've got another show in August, the Bill's Fool. So he needs to, I'll speak to his team. If they want to put him on other shows to keep him busy, they're more than welcome. I think the most important thing is activity. but activity that's not too rushed. You've got to be realistic. All the fighters in the world who became champions or world champions, they were groomed and built very, very carefully. I don't care what anybody says. Groomed and built very, very carefully, especially when you've got a young talent.
100%. He's only 18 years old,
Yeah.
just turned that in December. So, yeah, as you said, you got to develop him right. He's obviously an ambitious kid, so you probably have to pull the reins on him at times because...
Of course, listen,
Yeah.
everybody must be themselves. Nobody needs to be confined and do what the book says. Having said that, there's a fine line between disrespect and confidence. As a fighter, he must back himself, he must be confident. But to the media or to the public, you've got to show that respect, especially when you've got a massive broadcaster backing you. But we've spoken to him about it. He's young.
Yeah.
He's young and he admits to his mistake. And I said to him, I'm a very honest, transparent person. I said, there's none of that swearing on my tournaments. Come there, you do your job, but we treat everybody with respect. We treat my sponsors with respect and the people who are paying to watch you with respect. But these are things that he'll learn. And I'm not shy to tell him that. And but like I said, he's got an opportunity again. We're providing him with an opportunity, and he must make the most of it.
I told him as well afterwards, just mind your P's and Q's.
Always. But listen, if that's, like I said, maybe he's young, he's excited. So just address it. He said he apologizes, he won't do it again. At least he acknowledges that it was a bit uncalled for. But at the end of the day, he's excited. He's just a kid, you know.
No, he is. And moving over as well to another young star coming up, Lindo Kuzayo. He takes on the veteran Jeff Magagane, former SA champion as well in Magagane. Your take on this fight, because it could be a really good fight.
I think a very nice matchup, like I said, Lindo Kuzayo is a very nice prospect. Yeah, at Sean's gym, he's a terrific fighter. He's explosive as hell. He's got all the attributes to go further, but standing in front of him, you got Jeff Magagane, who's a seasoned campaigner, a seasoned veteran who hasn't fought, I think, since 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it has been a long layoff, but he brings in a bit of experience. Another true test for Lindo. I mean, I've known Jeff for a very long time. He was a tough competitor in the beginning stages of his career. He used to train a bit at Sean Smith's gym in the early days. I mean, we're talking 2013, 14, and then he changed gyms and he tried to progress with his career. So he's a guy I've always known, and he came to Peter's gym a couple of months ago. He's like, please put me on your next show. And it just stuck in the back of my mind. I said, what weight are you feather? So when the fight needed to be made and Sean needed to agree to an opponent, we said Jeff Magagane is available. Lindo's 7-0, if I'm not mistaken. It's a nice step up, a good competitive fight.
Yeah.
But like I said, I've seen Lindo in the gym. He's a hell of an explosive fighter. He's got power in both hands, but he's up against a very experienced competitor. So a good matchup. You've got youth versus experience, So another good matchup. And I think we're trying to make in the future an SA title for Lindo. The fight, we're trying our best to get him an SA title next, after June, because I'd like to be a part of that, try get Sean's fighters an SA title and maybe an Africa belt, just play a small role. Once they surpass you, a fighter, if we had a certain level as a promotion and a fighter surpasses you, it will make you feel good knowing that you've played a little bit of a role in assisting a fighter, and that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Sure. So from your side, there's no interest in sort of holding fighters to fight locally and maximize.
It's up to their teams, their managers and trainers what they want to do. I mean, you can never pull the reins on a fighter that wants to achieve greatness in his eyes. So I think it's just about providing a platform. We can't hold anybody to anything. Provide a platform. I've made a promise and a commitment that I'm going to put on 4 shows this year. This is number 2. On the 1st of August, we got number 3. And then we'll have another one at the end of the year. So let's see what happens. A lot can happen. We got the RBO All Africa this show. Sure. We got the RBO All Africa the next show. We're just trying our best to evolve and grow. This is just our 2nd show.
Sure.
So as a promotion, we've just sat, now we need to crawl. So we also know gradually how to build ourselves as an entity and as a promotion. We're not stupid. We're not silly to the fact that there's been promoters that have been in the game for a very long time, and they know the sport. We're not trying to compete with anybody. We're young, innovative, dynamic, and creative, and that's what we're looking to do.
Well, here's your first. I'm going to move on to the co-main event of the evening. Your first rebuild, because Kane Free is coming off that shock defeat, first round stoppage. He's coming up against Nuane, who's a decent puncher now in the lightweight division. He knocked out Sokwai on the Golden Glove show in his last fight. Yeah. What do you think of this matchup? It could be also. I mean, these last three fights look all like potential fight of the night.
It's a terrific matchup. I think with Nuane coming up from featherweight to lightweight, I think it's a good indicator for Kane. Kane is a very strong lightweight, and obviously erase what happened to him last time out. These things happen in boxing. I like Kane as an individual. I like Gert. So in order to provide him with an opportunity again, not turning my back on someone because on our inaugural show he got beaten and now, well, that's that. No. Give him an opportunity, a true opportunity, but it's not easy. He needs to leave off where he left off prior to the Ngoma loss. He was number 1 in Africa, if I'm not mistaken. And in front of him is a very awkward, competitive boxer. We know Kane's got power in both hands. People have told me that, people that have sparred him. And he's got the ability to hurt anybody. I think now, with a few changes in camp that him and Gert have been working on and refining of his skills a bit, hopefully we'll see a better, well-oiled Kane Fury. And I think he deserves it. A loss like that, everyone was left like that because we didn't expect it. But that's boxing. That's the beauty of the sport. The Aquilla boxing promotion shows are very unpredictable. There's no script. There is truly no script, and I'm not there to give pushovers. I'm trying my best to make competitive matchups. Obviously we have guys in our mind that we think could go on to do well, but this matchup and this comeback for Kane is by no means an easy fight. Nuane is a real competitor, an awkward boxer. So should Kane come through this test, he possibly has another assignment in August. But having said that, that's up to him and his team. He's got Colin, he's got Boxing 5 that are managing him. We're just very grateful to provide the opportunity to bring him back. And we are happy that Gert allowed for his fighter to fight on our show again. More importantly, we like working with Kane because he's a good kid and he's a nice guy, good family.
Does it provide a good storyline maybe for you? I know that Kane Free is scheduled to be on this tournament, but does it provide a good storyline maybe to bring in Ngoma back one day?
I think so. I think... Listen, it's up to his team. It's up to Gert and his management, Colin, Boxing 5, whether they want that rematch. We could always make it happen. And it's also up to Kane. I know as a fighter, in the back of your mind, you always want to right the wrong. But you also got to be realistic and go, okay, if he's got back on the victory parade, what's another route where Kane can go on to become better than where he left off? But if the rematch is lingering and he wants to right the wrong, of course we could make it happen. But that's not up to me. That's up to his team, Gert and Colin and himself as the fighter, what he wants.
All right, fantastic. That's that fight as well. Obviously, massive opportunity for Nuane as well to put his name up there.
Massive. Like I said, I'm not writing Nuane off. I know how strong and how good Kane is, but I also know and I've seen Nuane fight and he's got a nice support base too. So by no means am I writing him off. He is coming up in weight, and they say the good big one should usually always beat the good smaller one. So Kane is going to be the bigger, stronger man, I think. But Nuane is a very awkward, tough test for Kane. And this is another example. We're not bringing him in against a rollover or a pushover. We're bringing him in against the guy who's just come off a KO win at lightweight. He's coming up to Kane's domain. It makes for a good fight. And that is the clear indicator on where we're at and what the vision we see for our matchups at Aquilla Boxing Promotions.
Sure, it's going to be a great co-main event. And then, of course, the main event of the evening, the IBO All-Africa title in the super welterweight division. Boyd Allen against Khiso Baguazi. We saw Baguazi's power in the last. He stopped Almighty Creed Moyo. Boyd Allen, we also saw him beat Dennis Mwale on a unanimous decision. But this fight, 2 winners from the first show meet in the second show. How do you see this fight?
Look, I mean, you got a southpaw and you got an orthodox in Boyd Allen who's a switch hitter. Immediately the fight came to my mind when I saw Baguazi get on the scale and he was 69 against Creed, and I was like, this guy, he's tried his best to make weight. He's at 69 or whatever it is. That's the junior middleweight division or super welter. And I just thought to myself, I spoke to AB, so I said, listen, let's speak to Boyd. Let's put on an all-Africa fight. I think Baguazi is a top talent. I think Boyd Allen is a very respected fighter in South Africa, a pleasure to work with. He deserves it. Let's see if they'd want the fight. And it wasn't within 10 seconds of the call. Boyd said yes, Baguazi said yes. They both won it. Originally it was an 8-round. I said, guys, let's add a bit of juice here. Let's see if we can get an RBO 10-round All Africa. The RBO approved it. Obviously, I've got a great relationship with the RBO. I defended their belt 7 times, won the RBO International Heavyweight title against Moritz Fox. So I've got a very good relationship with Ed Levine and Erica. Obviously, I defended my RBO belt on Golden Glove shows multiple times, 7 times. So, you build those relationships. When I spoke to Ed Levine when I was in Saudi Arabia, he said, the minute you do your promotion, we'll 100% back you and provide you with opportunity. So there's our first RBO All Africa belt. Boyd Allen is deserving to fight for a title. He's got a tough challenge in front of him. Baguazi is a southpaw. Southpaw, a lot of orthodox nemesis, but Boyd Allen's also very awkward. He's a switch hitter. He knows how to control a fight. He's got a great MMA background. He's going to be strong, but it's a great fight. I think probably our best matchup on the night, in a sense of you got a guy who's undefeated, you got Boyd Allen who's 8-1, who brings in a lot of experience, a lot of awkwardness. I think if Boyd can sit on his punches, you don't want him to get into a slugfest, but really sit on his punches and try to dominate, he can do really well. And should Boyd Allen get the victory, we'll see where we can progress him to next. He's mentioned to me what he wants to achieve, and I said, I'm going to try my best to help you. This is your first step and your first assignment. A tough one to overcome. Baguazi is a real competitor. We've made it clear. We said we're providing you with an opportunity. These are the requirements. This is the contract. This is the weight. The rest is now up to them. But it's a great, terrific matchup. And Boyd Allen and Baguazi have been very easy to work with. There have been no questions, no stories. Absolute phenomenal. Obviously, Boyd Allen's South African, so we want to see our South Africans do well. And a victory for Boyd will do a lot for his confidence and will do a lot for his career, which is towards the tail end, I believe, in terms of boxing. But let's see what he can achieve in these last couple of years or fights, and we're just happy to be a part of it.
Baguazi is an interesting one because he's from Botswana, but all his fights have been in South Africa. He's been, dominance here in South Africa, let's put it this way. There hasn't been someone that's been close to beating him on this soil. Boyd Allen probably presents his most difficult challenge so far. We obviously looking at this matchup is 50-50, I think on paper. Is there potential for you to, because we've got a few Botswanan boxers on here, to forge a relationship with that region and, provide more of their boxers with an opportunity?
Most definitely. You also got to look at the landscape, the sub-Saharan Africa. It's a very in-touch market in terms of supersport, the network and the fighters. So we're always looking to forge good relationships with African fighters and to grow the sport, not only within South Africa, but also for the rest of Africa to tune in and to drive content and viewership. So it's been no secret that we've got Simon Ngoma from Zambia. We've got, Baguazi from Botswana. He's a good fighter because he comes with a good amateur pedigree. So, it's an opportunity for him. It's an opportunity for Boyd, but it's just a nice opportunity to open up the landscape for the rest of Africa to compete against one another. Because essentially that's what I said I would like to do, to create good content, good viewership across the sub-Saharan. Where we go with it, I don't know. There's so many fighters that need opportunities. We inundated with messages and requests. Please put us on. Please, if I could, would put everybody on, but we really can't. Sometimes we overcommit to shows. We're sitting, we go say to ABs, we got 9 fights. We need to take one off. We need to, this happens, that happens. So we're trying our best to help everybody, but it's hard. It's not easy, but we're just going to continue going.
And of course, there we have it, the whole tournament that you've spoken about. And I'm sure each fighter appreciates your opinion on them as well for Fistic Havoc, June the 21st. Kevin, just lastly, do you want to leave us with anything? Any thank yous, any shout outs maybe?
No, of course, Hayden. Thanks to you, for covering most of, I think 90% of the fighters that you could for the Fistic Havoc tournament. I'd just like to make mention our 18th of July show has been moved, Friday night fight, to the 1st of August. It's another exciting bull. We announced the bull last week. It's a very good bull. But thanks to the sponsors who are backing Aquilla Boxing Promotions, thanks to World Sports Betting, thanks to Tigris Wealth, JCP Steel, Team Lerena, as well as GABA, HP, and our security partners. The brands that get behind the promotion is truly what helps provide the platform for the young fighters. So thanks to all our sponsors, and thanks to all the fighters who are providing us, the warriors, putting on the show. They're the ones who are coming out there in the auditorium as gladiators to fight for the fans and for the viewers. So thanks to the fighters. You know, I always see it from a corner. I don't only see it from the boardroom desk. I see it from the corner because that's where my career originated from. It's in the corner. I'm still in the corner. So I always try my best to do the best for the fighters and to the best for the teams and the managers. So, you know, everybody is happy. So thanks to you and thanks to everybody, and hope to see you all on the 21st of June.
All right, there we have it from Aquilla Boxing Promotions Ambassador,
Yes.
Kevin Lerena. I wanted to wish you all the best on the tournament, and we'll see you on the 21st.
Thank you.